are the Packers Super Bowl contenders?
That offense got to get cleaned up. The offense got to get cleaned up, and the answer is yes.
Zach Tom came back to the game, right?
He did.
Okay.
I'm in the middle with it.
I'm in the middle with it.
That was the
too.
first test, and they passed. I'm in the middle with it.
They're definitely Super Bowl contenders.
They're contenders.
They're done.
Nothing wrong
I
with
love
that.
the fact that the question for them the entire offseason was, can you win a game in your division against the Lions or Vikings?
Can you win a big game?
And then the first game of the season, they whoop the Lions.
Well, in between that, they added a top 5 defensive player in the world.
The way they look right now, they would have won that game without Micah too.
Maybe. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Micah was pretty
He was
awesome that
but-
day.
I'm not saying Micah wasn't awesome, but that defensive line, even when Micah was out because he was on a snap count, Rashawn Gary had all his sacks when Micah was out.
I love what I saw from Rashawn, man. That really excited me.
Rashawn Gary was amazing. Devontae Wyatt was amazing. Lucas Van Ness was amazing. Edgerrin Cooper was amazing. Evan Williams was amazing. Micah Parsons and his snaps was amazing. I think what they did to add Micah in the Florida defense, this is when he was on the field. They allowed -2 rushing yards when Micah was on the field. Goff had a 2.80 time to throw when Micah was on the field. 3.36 when Micah was off. 29 snaps when Micah was in the game. He sacked Goff 3 times and only allowed 2.4 yards per play. This is a top 10 defense that got Micah, and I think now they're going to be in the conversation for the best defense in the world.
They feasted on that offensive line.
I look at the top end NFC competition, and I really think that the Eagles are their biggest competition because I just don't see any other NFC team having the offensive line to go up against Micah and everybody else on that Packers defensive line. I think the Rams pose a great threat, but I also think that the Rams, they can't guard them, but they also have Jared Verse. They also have Kobe Turner. So the Rams are no slouch either. So that's another team that I'll put in this tier. But with Philadelphia, we've seen their offense go up against a Jeff Hafley called defense twice. And I thought the offense has struggled twice against them. In the first game of the season in Brazil and in the playoffs. Specifically, I thought Jalen Hurts struggled in both games. I did. So
Thank you for cleaning that up.
I think that the Packers against the Eagles can make Jalen Hurts struggle. And I think that's the way to beat them. They have an elite run defense. I think they're more well-equipped to be better against the run this year as well. And then this always gets left out of the conversation when we always bring up the Eagles and Packers playoff game. Romeo Doubs didn't play. Jaden Reed didn't play. Christian Watson didn't play. These are the 3 top receivers on the team. These are the 3 top receivers. I mean, my goodness. Any team loses their 3 top receivers, they're going to look bad on offense. Yeah, but these are the 3 better receivers in the league.
Matthew Golden's the best receiver on that team.
But last year in the playoffs, they didn't have 3 of the best ones.
No, Dobbs is solid.
You know who looked good yesterday too? Dontavian.
He did.
He looked good.
He did. Because every other year he is able to catch the ball. Starting center Josh Myers didn't play in that game. Elton Jenkins didn't play in that game. And Devontae Wyatt didn't play in that game. The Packers had 7 starters injured in the playoffs.
Well, Romeo Doubs did play in that game.
Romeo Doubs left early then probably.
There we go.
Exactly.
Let's
but
adjust.
really for the most
Christian Watson doesn't really play anyways.
But
No offense to
he
him.
tore his ACL. That's why
Banking on Christian Watson is a bit of a not call, but
Christian Watson, I mean, he was huge for their offense because if I could stretch the field
Jaden
vertically
Reed did play this game.
in the playoff game,
Yes.
how many snaps?
Can't tell you, but he had 4 receptions, 46 yards.
Okay, I would like to know the snap count. Maybe Google Gemini lied to me.
That happens.
Sometimes
Google Gemini.
you can't trust the AI. Sometimes you have to just click on the website and look deeper.
It's all good.
I do know that receivers and they were injured.
You missed
in that
a lot
game.
of players.
Exactly, they missed a lot of players. I don't think the Eagles went up against a healthy Packers team, and I think the Packers still put up a fight for most of that game.
played 55% of snaps.
I thought that in that
Less than half the game.
Yeah.
A little bit more than half the game.
yeah, but that is you should be playing more snaps than that. So
I agree.
In that game,
70%. So.
and that game started off with a fumble in a kick return in the very beginning of the game. So I think that the Eagles did not go up against a healthy Packers team. I think the Packers offense is even better this year. I think their defense is even better this year. And I do think the Packers, not only Super Bowl contenders, I think they're going to win the whole thing this year. I think this is the year for Green Bay. And
I hope so.
the biggest
Change
question
your
mark
fucking fandom for this team.
the biggest question mark for them is that offense, and is Jordan Love being able to step up in moments and limit the decision making his bad decision making in crucial moments, because we saw what he did against San Fran. But the thing with Jordan Love is that I really believe in his talent and his ability. And I do think Jordan Love is also a quarterback capable of going on a playoff run where he looks like one of the very best quarterbacks in the world. And I don't think I could say that for a lot of other quarterbacks, but that's how high I am on him. Ultimately, the floor of this defense has been raised to elite levels. And what I saw in that first game and how they dismantled Detroit, with Edger and Cooper playing the game that he played, I mean, this is an all-around defense that not only can stop the run, but because that pass rush gets home so quickly, that secondary now doesn't have to cover for as long as they used to last year. And I think overall, we're looking at a team that I think is going to win the NFC North, and I think is a team that also has a real chance to win the entire NFC and be the number one seed in the NFC too.
I'm sorry, Rick.
Yeah, because I like how he loves to rewrite the history of that playoff game and swear up and down that it was close when the Green Bay Packers did not score until the third quarter. And it was 3 points, and the score would have been 29-10 if Saquon Barkley didn't dive at the end of the game after breaking off a run to score a touchdown. Not to mention the Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed played over 50% of snaps. So like, I don't this whole revisionist history with the game was closer than what, like, the first game was closer than what you like. The first game was definitely in the hunt. That playoff game was not close, bro.
It was the closest not close game in the
it was
history.
like
It was a little tense.
Yeah, like, bro, y'all wasn't scoring ever. Like, y'all scored 3 points. But I will say,
22-10 just seems like a close playoff game.
it would have like I said, it would have been 20 because you love that context. It would have been 29-10.
Especially when the first play of the game they had a fumble.
That's your
I'm
fault.
gonna say Nixon is one of the best returners in football too.
You fucking fumbled. What do you
So
like?
what was
It
going
does
on?
happen. It happens.
But we're
What should we put 7 points on the Packers board for it?
No,
Like,
I'm
he
not saying
fumbled.
7 points, but I'm saying that unfortunate start to the game is swayed the momentum. of it.
100%. Don't fumble.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think that
What's
that changed
this?
the game
Is
a
this
lot.
topic? Are the Packers better than the Eagles, or is it they're a Super Bowl contender?
he definitely
they're
only
Super Bowl
called out the
contenders.
Eagles. Okay,
because
yeah.
that's who I think they need to
to
beat
realistically,
to make it.
when you think of contenders in the NFC, you kind of stop yourself because you really put them up against, can they beat the Philadelphia Eagles?
Exactly.
No,
and I
I
do
think
think they
so,
could beat the
but I
Philadelphia
just-
Eagles. And I think that last in the playoffs, I'm not saying the Eagles weren't the better team. The Eagles were the better team.
Start
I
to
know they
finish.
were the better
By a
team.
lot.
But I'm just saying that the Packers, it was a close game. It was a sluggish game. And that offense
definitely
struggled
sluggish.
in that playoff game.
Close nuts. Sluggish,
It was
yes.
definitely sluggish.
I also want to say this in reference to the game yesterday. I think the offense did take their foot off the gas in the second half because there was such a comfortable lead and because the defense really was allowing nothing for Detroit to do. In the fourth quarter, I don't think Jordan Love passed the ball. I think he only had 23 pass attempts, and in the fourth quarter, majority of the script at the end was give the ball to Josh Jacobs, and Jordan Love had a scramble or two. They were just running the clock out. So this game with Jordan Love evaluating the offense was really quarters 1 through 3. In quarters 1, I thought, wow, maybe they are the contender. Maybe they are the team to be in the AFC. But then as the game went on, the offense kind of got a little bit stagnant. Jordan Love had a couple errant throws. The receivers also, Jaden Reed dropped that ball on the sideline. I wasn't overly moved by this offense, especially because the run game wasn't as prolific as we saw last season. But you're going up against Detroit, one of the better rush defenses over these last couple of years. That was to be expected because they knew Josh Jacobs would be huge in the game plan. This defense was incredible. It was amazing. And I can get on board with them being contenders off of what we saw from that defense because not many teams made the Detroit Lions offense look pedestrian. Yes, they lost both their coordinators. Yes, they lost Ben Johnson. Yes, they have different offensive line play, but it's still the same skill position players and the same quarterback. And they made them look like they didn't deserve to be on a football field. The Packers are legit. I just wonder how that offense looks against the upper echelon defense, how it looks against the Eagles, how it looks against the Rams. Because right now I still do favor the Rams. Right now I still do favor the Eagles. That defense can get better. It's true. Because Micah Parsons was injured for a majority of this offseason, and it was just him getting comfortable game one, and he was incredible. The offense can get better as well. As Matthew Golden gets a little bit more associated with the offense and integrated more and gets a little bit more consistent, Josh Jacobs gets a little bit more loose. Jordan Love gets more comfortable. He was recovering from a thumb injury this offseason, thumb surgery, if I'm not mistaken, on his throwing hand. there is room for improvement for the Packers. And that's saying that after they just dominated the team that ran the North.
So sorry, let me correct it. In the 2025 wildcard game, the Green Bay Packers had several key injuries. Christian Watson was out, obviously. But several other players, including TJ Slayton, Quay Walker, and Jaden Reed, who suffered a dislocated shoulder during the game, were limited by injuries, while Romeo Doubs and Josh Myers also left the game with injuries.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
So
but I
they
just
weren't
think,
out for the game, but they left the game with injuries.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, this Packers team, it's different than last year. It's better than last year, right? So, like, we could look at that game and be like, yeah, it was sluggish, but
You hate to see it.
But I think if the Packers, pick six, that's nuts. I think if the Packers just ran back the same roster from last year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's why I'm like, I don't really need to look at last year's team and be like, oh, it was sluggish and that, because they're both two different teams. The Packers got better, and as far as I'm concerned, I think the Eagles got worse. Like, I think what we saw on the first game of the season against Dallas should be a big concern from Eagles fans on both sides of the ball. Obviously, losing Jalen Carter has a part in that, but CB2 is going to be a concern. And I did not like the scheme from what I saw in that first game. It was very predictable. It was pretty bland. There was nothing that made me excited about the offense. So I think that gap certainly has closed, right? Like the last year, the Eagles more or less were in a tier of their own in the NFC, right? Like it was the Eagles and it was everybody else. And when the Rams got hot in the second half of the season, we're like, they're probably the biggest contenders. And they had the closest game against Philadelphia. Of course, that turned into a snowstorm, so things got a little wacky there. But that was a real tight, close game that really came down to the wire. Green Bay has everything you could want, though, right? Like they have a defense that is elite, and they just added one of the best defenders in football who can rush the passer, isn't even 100%, and was still winning reps against Penei Sewell, who's one of the best tackles in football. On the offensive side, you have a top-tier running back. You have a quarterback that can make big plays. Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback, borderline top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's in the Matthew Stafford conversation.
No, because he did this to me. So last week, Jordan Love was not top 10.
I say he's borderline top 10
But
quarterback.
He changed it right after that.
But today,
I just said borderline top 10
No,
quarterback.
he had to.
He borderline top 10 quarterback.
He had to change it right after that.
He had to
He's a
do.
borderline top 10
He knows
quarterback.
his top 10.
He's a borderline top 10 quarterback. And you have Matt LaFleur, who I've been a big fan of. So I think when you're talking about a team that could win a Super Bowl, you have all the ingredients there. You have everything you want, maybe outside of, a possible real wide receiver one, which maybe Matthew Golden turns into that. I think from the first week, you have to be at least impressed from what you saw. And you have some nice, ancillary pieces around the side. Romeo Doubs, Watson comes back, Tucker Kraft and whatnot. But this Packers team is as good as anyone in the NFC. There's no reason we should be looking at this roster and saying they're anything less than a Super Bowl contender. If you want to say favorite, I wouldn't be mad at that. It is hard as hell to go back-to-back, let alone win a Super Bowl, but get back to the Super Bowl. So the odds tell you that the Eagles probably aren't getting back there as much as we might love their roster and Jalen Hurts and an elite defense and everything like that. NFL history shows you're probably not going to do it unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. So the odds are already in their favor. I think week one, they made probably the biggest statement out of any team. Like the Bills probably the most impressive performance, but I think all thought that's a 50-50 game. It could go either way. I think most of us took the Packers. Maybe all of us took the Packers, but that was a dominating win. Like that was start to finish. They shut down the best or one of the best offenses in football last year. And they had multiple drives on the other side where they went right down the field and scored with ease. So if we did power rankings right now, the Packers are probably like a top 4 or 5 team. That's how great they looked in week one.
A couple things you said. Just a couple things you said. First of all, I love the overreaction of week ones because the same way how you just said how the Eagles didn't look like they don't look like a Super Bowl team week one, they didn't look like a Super Bowl team weeks 1 through 4 last year.
Nope. It
took them 5 weeks because I'll say they had to buy. So it took them 5 weeks to figure it out. And now we're sitting here once again, young defense, same coordinator, new offensive coordinator. Week one, they don't look like a Super Bowl contender. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction because I think you have to give them time to gel. But I will say Green Bay, we all agree, made a statement, punched Detroit in the mouth. Still want to see how that wide receiving core looks down the stretch. But like I said before, I think that was a statement win. I think that's their first big statement win. I think they're going to have more because we play Green Bay down the stretch. I think we played them week 9 or week 10, something like that. So
We
Green
gonna
Bay's
get our get back.
like Green Bay is going to have a couple big time games where they're going to be able to continuously make a statement. But I would say first week, easily. Michael Parsons didn't even play a ton too. Like he was still dealing with an injury. So when he gets fully integrated, he gets fully healthy. That's going to be a guy you can
could get
easily
scary.
add. It's going to get spooky. It's going to get scary. Also, Dells, like you said before, Detroit lost half of the offensive line in the offseason, lost both their coordinators, different offense. Green Bay was prepared. Detroit wasn't. But I would say put them in the contenders. I think we all had them, tier 2 before the Michael Parsons trade. Tier 1 is probably Eagles, Rams, Green Bay, around the same teams because the Rams, you gotta respect that offense, that offensive line. First of all, Rams versus Green Bay, the trench work. I'm excited to see how that's gonna look.
Fact.
Rams defensive line versus Green Bay's offensive line. Rams offensive line versus Green Bay's defensive line. Because what the Texans defensive line did to that Rams offensive line was food. They really imposed their will. I do think Green Bay probably has, if not the same talent, more talent. So that's gonna be an interesting thing. But I do think the Rams defensive line is also really good. So probably top 3, probably those 3 teams.